Sophie Cunningham showed that she is, the old Caitlin Clark enforcer. She is the Caitlin Clark enforcer. That has been shown. She is the enforcer that the Fever have needed for the last year, and she has responded. She has responded.
What happens when Sophie Cunningham ditches the ball and slips into full-on bodyguard mode, like she's been hired by the Secret Service to protect Caitlin Clark at all costs? Pure chaos. We're talking fiery confrontations, tempers flaring in the locker room, and Sophie looking like she's ready to go to war. Because when it comes to defending Clark, she doesn't just play the game, she takes it personally.
Sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, is anybody on this team gonna stand up for Caitlin Clark? JC Sheldon grabbing Caitlin Clark all game, clawing at her. It's like tonight was a brawl, folks. Tonight was a brawl, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, is anybody on this team going to stand up for? And Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie's comeback wasn't some quiet return, it was a full-blown superhero origin story. She didn't just show up to play. She came to dismantle the Connecticut Sun like she'd been plotting it all season. This wasn't just drama, it was a scorched earth statement, and the fallout was as intense as it gets. So, how did Sophie break her silence after getting ejected for standing up for Caitlin Clark against the Sun's bullies? We're breaking it all down. If you stand with Sophie, drop a comment and let your voice be heard.
Let's start with the play that set off the entire night. So as you guys can see here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bad out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark.
Sophie Cunningham came in with one mission: make sure no one laid a hand on Caitlin Clark, and if they tried, they'd pay for it. This wasn't just a regular shift, this was a shift for war. The WNBA should have been on notice the second Sophie stepped on the floor. Think of her as a human firewall crossed the line, and you're getting burned.
Welcome to WNBA Fight Night, or as some people are saying, WNBA Raw. What a game that was. We had it all. We had basketball, we had fighting, we had blonde on blonde crime. Oh, such an epic. Oh, goodness. But at the end of the day, it resulted in an Indiana Fever W. 88-71, taking care of business.
Let's be real, Sophie wasn't moving like just another teammate. She was more like the head of security at Area 51. Elbow Caitlin. And suddenly, with the fury of 10 irate gym teachers and a crossover that's more warning than highlight, Sophie appears. Bump into Caitlin after the whistle. Congratulations, you've just summoned the basketball Grim Reaper. Rocking a ponytail and keeping a receipt for every cheap shot.
Well, let's start here. This is, of course, Sophie and Sheldon going down the floor. Sophie tries to wrap her up, and Sheldon gets to the floor, and all hell breaks loose. And Sophie said, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. We'll go. We'll go. So there's that. That, of course, was all a byproduct of this right here, folks. And I mean, when I tell you social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, not in a good way, that's the understatement.
Sophie doesn't jog laps for warm-ups. She patrols like a bouncer on caffeine. Scanning the court with hawk-like precision, ready to shut down any hint of trouble before it starts. She's judge, jury, and executioner, all rolled into one. Make one wrong move around Caitlin, and Sophie's already in your lane. Serving up justice with a side of shoulder check intimidation. Her body language doesn't say, let's play. It says, try me, and book an appointment with your chiropractor.
Of course, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant one, of course, on JC Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional or not, you can still have a flagrant a flagrant foul called on you, whether you are trying to intentionally hurt somebody or not. But this is what they called, you guys. This is what they called. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And JC Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
Sophie Cunningham isn't just a deterrent, she's an omen. While coaches draw up plays and other players stretch or scroll their playlists, Sophie's loading ammo, plotting holy retribution for anyone thinking about testing the Fever's golden kid. This level of fearless loyalty. It's rare, a relic in a league where too many stars are wrapped up in pre-game vibes and mindfulness exercises. Not Sophie, she's here to throw down like it's the Hunger Games and Caitlin's holding the last district. Since Rodman was body slamming people in the paint. We haven't seen this kind of 90s bruiser energy now wrapped in a modern don't even try it mentality. It's not taught, it's instinct, it's primal. Sophie doesn't walk into the arena. She charges in like a berserker with court clearance, ready to burn it all down before she lets anyone touch her teammate.
I feel good, and Sophie Cunningham put me out on a high note, folks. I didn't even say, Ben, calm down, regroup. I didn't even say that. Let's get straight to the play. Everybody, the plays everybody is talking about. First off, Marina Mabrey body checking Caitlin Clark to the ground. JC Sheldon all over her. Riding her. Pokes Caitlin Clark in the eye. Oh, man. Caitlin Clark needs to start wearing goggles, folks. Caitlin Clark's going to need to start wearing goggles. Bumps up on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark says, "Get your hands off me." And then here comes Marina Mabrey. Boom! Exploding Caitlin Clark like a safety coming downhill in the NFL. There was no flop there.
Let's cut to the real issue. Caitlin Clark didn't just walk into this league. She was thrown into a lion's den with a target the size of Indiana on her back. It wasn't just defenders coming for her. Whole rosters were on a mission to make a statement, trying to shove her into the Gatorade cooler and send a message. But what they didn't bank on was Sophie Cunningham's watch your mouth energy. From the front row, with a chip on her shoulder and a vendetta in her eyes, she was ready to make sure that message came right back to sender.
Literally about a minute and a half into recording this reaction earlier, with 1 minute left, and all hell broke loose between JC Sheldon and Sophie Cunningham, and it is very clear the Indiana Fever, some of these girls on this team are finally fed up.
It wasn't just about team chemistry anymore. Sophie appointed herself chief protector. And trust this, her background checks run deep and have consequences. Opponents didn't realize one woman could dismantle an entire press of pettiness, but she turned Caitlin's target zone into a demolition zone. Come after Caitlin, and you're instantly on Sophie's hit list. While some people read box scores, Sophie, she reads vibes, and she knows exactly when it's time to make a statement.
Once again, WNBA, we're not talking about your basketball. We're talking about the WNBA WWE Raw circus that you got going on right now, and we all know this incident with Sophie stems from the incident that was clearly not handled correctly by the WNBA and the referees.